Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome to the Creators Lounge podcast. I am your host, Ben J, and this is another exciting episode for you guys. I've been friends with this dude for a long time, and I'm super excited about the conversation that's about to unfold. So, my man, please introduce yourself. Who are you? Where are you from? What do you do?
Yo, what's up, guys? My name's John. I'm from the Philippines, and I'm a music producer.
All right, awesome. John, thank you so much for coming to the Creators Lounge podcast. We've talked about doing this for a long time, so I'm glad we can finally do it for real.
Oh yeah.
You just called yourself a music producer, and I kind of want to ask you, do you consider yourself a music producer or an artist? What are the difference between these two words to you?
Well, for me, an artist is a profession. So, like, a career. Well, music producer for me is just a hobby. I think I'm more an artist because, like, I'm aiming for a profession rather than a hobby.
How interesting. Okay, I gotcha. So right now, though, do you feel like you're still a music producer, or do you feel like someday you will become an artist? Or do you feel like you're an artist already, and your path is a process of becoming a better artist? Does that make sense?
Uh, I think it does. Well, I don't think I'm an artist yet because, like, I don't have a fan base as much yet. So it's a small community. So yeah,
Okay, so you're still a music producer, but later you want to become an artist.
for sure.
As a music producer who's trying to become an artist, what are some of the things you want to like communicate to listeners?
I would like to inspire other people to make their kinds of music, like on their own, like their own style to express themselves.
Gotcha. Okay, so kind of like inspire people and motivate them to express themselves. How well
Oh
do
yeah.
you think you're doing that at this point right now in your career?
Well, I think I'm doing great because, in my opinion, I always like to put emotion on my songs as much as I can to project how I feel whenever I make one.
Gotcha. All right, awesome, man. So then let's take a little time travel through your career. Let's flash back to whenever you first started, doing music production and everything. How would you describe yourself whenever you first started doing music production?
Well, when I started music, I just downloaded FL Studio randomly while I was googling some people on what they do and what software they use to make music or how they do it. So I pretty much just downloaded FL Studio and just fucked around with it until I created something.
And your skills at that point, what were they like?
Oh, when I started, I think it kind of sucked. Like, it's everything sounded money. Uh, Everything sounded as if you throw a music recorder into a pool or something. Yeah.
Gotcha. All right, man. And then jumping into where you are now as a music producer, how do you feel it contrasts with where you were before? Are you more confident about your skill?
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, I think I've improved a lot since the past year. Yeah.
So you feel pretty confident right now then in your music production skills. You feel capable and you can do everything pretty well.
Yeah. I wouldn't say pretty well, but I think it's better.
Better.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Tell us about that journey from being a beginner in music production to where you are now, where you're doing better at music. What was that process, that space and time kind of like? Was it frustrating? Was it easy? How did you feel about that whole process?
Well, I think it was enjoyable. At first, I was I was kind of bored with it since I didn't really know what I was doing. Um, I used to tell my friends every time I make a song that I would show them what I made. They should just say, yeah, it's great, yeah, whatever. You know, then, it got difficult to the point where I had to actually learn the sound design, mixing, and whatnot, mastering, etc. I had to learn a lot since, it gave me a creative block.
How do your friends react now whenever you show them like your works in progress and stuff like that? Are they impressed by it, or how do they react?
They were okay with it. I think they noticed how the quality is lower than other songs since I was a beginner. So yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. And I'm curious about that process, like, going from being a beginner and everything. What were kind of like the key elements and stuff you learned about how to improve during that time?
Well, I would usually give it to people. I mean, I would show my music to people who aren't who are better than me, and I would ask for their opinions and see if how they like it, how I should improve it. The basic feedback stuff.
Gotcha. So one of the biggest things you learned then from going from a beginner to where you are now is just to get feedback and stuff from other music producers. Is there anything else that you learned from that process?
Oh yeah, I decided to learn music theory. You know, it's actually very fun. It makes my songs give a taste. It gives more flavor, sound wise.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's something that's pretty common, across learning new skills is actually learning and studying, and finding new ways to grow and improve. Like you said, feedback was one way. Another thing is music theory. Tell us about like the steps you're taking to learn music theory. What's your learning process look like? How do you learn new skills?
Well, usually I would just go to YouTube and random websites and learn an instrument with it because music theory is actually very hard to learn without using an instrument. Since without an instrument, you can't actually do anything except think ahead on what you're going to learn. Like yeah, it's just information, no skill. Yeah.
Absolutely, bro. And I want to dig into that a little bit more because I do feel like there's a very big disconnect between reading about something and actually doing something. And I feel like it's so easy for people to get caught up on like reading about stuff, learning about stuff, but they never actually execute on it. They never actually do it. For you, do you struggle with going from learning about stuff, reading about it, and actually doing it, or is it easy for you to do both of them?
Well, it's easier for me to just read on stuff. I procrastinate on stuff such as playing. But yeah, yeah, I procrastinate a lot, but I still learn. Piano. I still play piano a lot. The more longer I played, the more I enjoyed. So yeah.
Love it, man. So for you, it's kind of like an internal motivation thing. It's something like you wanted to do it, so it was easy for you to apply the knowledge you were learning, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And how well do you think you're doing on music theory? Do you feel like kind of confident in it, or do you feel like there's a lot to learn still?
Yeah, there's a lot to learn. Music theory for me is infinite. Like music itself is infinite. Infinite ideas and whatnot.
Dude, that's a
Yeah.
great point, actually. Yeah, you're right. I mean, learning never ends, right? Like, there's always new things that we can be learning and trying and stuff in music. I think that's what's so exciting about being a music producer, being an artist, is that you have like limitless potential to create and do new sounds and everything like that. Do you feel like your music is very diverse? Do you feel like you get to experiment with it a lot?
Oh yes, for sure. I always like to experiment with songs, and the more I experiment, the more I enjoy. You know, there are layers of sounds that I like to combine. It makes me feel happy as it changes the way it sounds every time I layer something or adjust something sound wise.
Yep, absolutely, man, absolutely. Tell us a little bit about that. Like, as far as making your music more diverse, what kind of stuff do you get into to make it diverse and to make it, more interesting?
I like to use synthesizers such as Serum or Silent or Massive. Since those are synthesizers, I can make any sound that I want. Most of all when it comes to basses. When the dubstep basses. Yeah. Basically, like I like to make sounds more unique through sound design. Make sounds, stand out. I think it is at least.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I think sound design is so important in controlling the kind of sound you're creating as a musician. Is sound design something you've been doing since like your early days, or is it something that you got into later on?
Yeah, I got it on later on because when I started, I usually just use presets of other people. Then I got bored of those presets, so I decided to make my own. It was actually fun. I don't usually do sound design before, but now I always do sound design on every sound that I make.
That's incredible, bro. That's so incredible. Yeah, like you said, I mean, I think that for a lot of producers starting out, we live off of presets. That's the way, we kind of learn how to make music and make sounds and everything. You talked about getting bored of presets. I want to press you on that one a little bit. Was it because you didn't have enough presets to use, or you just felt limited choosing from other people?
Oh yes, I felt limited because when I want a specific sound, the presets aren't really, you know, there aren't kind of presets for that kind of sound, so I have to actually make it myself. So it would actually fit my song. It's like a custom thing. Like like that sound would fit best on that song. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally get it. I mean, like, whenever you can hear it in your head, and then you want to, like, manifest it and make it into, like, a reality. So tell us about that. How do you go from taking a sound that you can hear in your head and turning it into, like, an actual sound in your program? What was your process for learning how to do that?
Well, from my experience in sound design, it's like basically, uh, you gotta learn your own synthesizer. You need to know what those knobs do, what those waves sound like. I play with the waves, like a saw wave or something. Then I would play with the knobs, see what fits, and filters, whatnot. Yeah.
Awesome. So for you, it was really just getting into the synthesizer and just messing with everything, basically. Did you watch, like, tutorials or anything?
Oh yes, I watch a lot of tutorials from people like Rocket Powered Sounds, Virtual Riot. Yeah, some of Andrew Huang as well.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. He's a really good one as well. Thanks for mentioning names, by the way, because that is a complaint I hear a lot. A lot of music producers complain that there's not very many good tutorials out there on YouTube. But as I'm talking with you, you're saying that you did learn a lot from YouTube, and there is a lot of good content out there on YouTube. Talk to us about that for just a second. Do you feel like the availability of quality tutorials on the internet is limited, or do you think it's just a matter of looking for it?
So it's a matter of looking for it because there are a lot of good tutorials out there. It's just, you know, the people that find are probably not as good as the others, so they think it's bad. But really, it's just unexperienced people who want to teach other people their knowledge. That's what tutorials are for, teaching people their knowledge. That's why there is a lot of resources on YouTube.
Yeah, that's super true, man. Good point. I feel like that's true for a lot of stuff, right? Like, no one can tell us, like, the absolute correct answer, but they can share, like, what they know or what works for them. I think that's the same way, like, in music tutorials. Like, there's different methods we can use to get to the same end goal. And so it's just a matter of finding, what works for you or what you're trying to achieve. And it does take time sifting, through, like, hundreds of tutorials, and digging enough to find, exactly what you're looking for. But as you said already, the key thing is always execution. I love how you're talking a lot about learning stuff. You're talking just as much about taking action on the stuff you're learning. And we talked a few minutes ago about how you went from being a beginner to where you are now. Do you have an idea of where you want to be in the future?
Well, I would like to be a successful artist, for art, and share my music with everyone around the world. You know.
Absolutely. Define success for us real quick, because to me, success is kind of like different for every person. To you, John, what is success?
Well, success for me is when people like to listen to your songs without, you know, without even uploading. Like your past songs, your old songs, they would keep listening to it even though it's old, it's not new.
Love it. I love it. So for you, it's all about like people enjoying it, bringing value to people, giving them music they want to hear. Does that affect you whenever you are making music? Are you like worried about people's opinion of the song, or how do you handle that? Does that make sense?
Well, I worry just a slight bit since I like to make people like what I like. So it must be good for the both parties. Like it's good for me and it's good for everyone. Sometimes it's just good for me and not good for everyone. So yeah, sometimes my song is yeah because sometimes I make songs too experimental, so it doesn't really fit the general public. So yeah.
How do you handle that, by the way, whenever you make something that you enjoy, but you feel like other people won't enjoy it as much? Do you put the song out anyways, or do you kind of just hang on to it and say, like, I enjoyed making this, but I shouldn't release it?
Well, I usually just dump it on this site called clip.it. I just dump my work in progress or unfinished songs usually.
Gotcha. Just share it on there. Yeah, I've seen you use it a lot because, you obviously show me works in progress and stuff on there. As far as feedback you get on there, because sometimes people leave comments and stuff like that, does that ever motivate you to finish the song?
Oh yeah, for sure. The more validation means that people like it actually. Sometimes I get unsatisfied on what I make, so usually I just dump it there and won't come back again for it.
I feel you. Yeah. So it's always great to have that second opinion. People telling you like, no, this is actually good, and you should actually finish this and everything. I do think it's difficult, or theoretically it's difficult to balance, making what you want to make while still making something that appeals to the public, or appeals to other people. On kind of like a bigger scale, I think of like Getter and Getter's situation recently. For people who don't know, Getter is like an EDM artist, and he put out an album recently. It was a little different and unique in its sound, and he started touring for it. People who were attending his shows didn't enjoy it as much, and he canceled the tour because of like negative feedback and everything. Joe, I want you to talk to us a little bit about that. Like, what did you think about that situation?
Honestly, well, I feel bad for Getter because his new album was actually very good. I liked it very much, but it's him expressing himself, and the people that has from what I heard that people actually threw some food over the stage, and that people were rioting or something. I don't know, and that must have feel bad because Getter has worked a lot on those songs. He expressed himself and he got bashed for it, and that's sad. So yeah.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. I think the kind of the interesting conversation about it though is about quality, right? Because together it was quality music. To people that were attending the shows, some of them anyway, it wasn't quality music. Do you, Jom, feel like quality is subjective or objective?
Subjective or objective? Well, I think it's subjective because it just depends on the person. So yeah. Usually for me, quality is when you have nostalgia on the song for a very long time. It gives you the feeling of happiness or whatever you want to feel on a song for a very long time. It affects you greatly. Yeah.
Yeah, man, I feel you. Hearing about situations like Getters and other people who deal with like hate in the EDM community, like Marshmello, or anybody, does it affect you as far as wanting to become an artist and wanting to become like a successful artist? Does it worry you, having to face that kind of stuff in the future?
Well, I don't think it worries me because I like my music, and if someone dislikes it, I'm fine with it as long as they respect it rather than attacking me for what I made and how I express myself. I think people should just respect themselves rather than attacking someone for making something good.
Right, dude. Yeah, I think respect is so important, right? I mean, that's what Fleur is all about: peace, love, unity, respect. And
Agreed.
yeah, and it'd be great to see that rise up even more. Not even just in the EDM community, but across the world, because I feel like there is a lot of dissension, and it's kind of a difficult place to navigate now with everyone having their own opinion, and being able to say that through social media and everything. So it's a challenging time for creators, especially to be able to make what they want to make and have confidence in it, and not be affected by the negativity that does surround them.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
And I guess that kind of goes into mental health as well, as far as staying healthy mentally. Do you struggle with mental health issues at all, Jom?
I don't think so because Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay. And I was gonna
But,
ask you if
but
you do have tips, like how do you maintain it? How do you keep yourself healthy mentally?
well, I keep myself healthy by making music. Music is my main source of exercising my brain. It makes me think as much as as it inspires me to. Because the more I think, the more melodies I came up with, and the more melodies I make, the more songs I can make.
Love
Yeah.
it, dude. Love it. I love how creating is like, your way to stay healthy mentally and everything. Let's go ahead and talk about your music because, that's what you do and that's like the biggest thing, that we should cover here. How do you
Oh yeah, for
describe
sure.
your sound? How do you describe your sound?
I would describe it as somewhat chill and your unusual heavy stuff combined with it. I'm sure you've heard the thing that I sent you
I have,
before.
yes. For people who haven't heard it before, I did want to kind of give them an idea. It is very chill stuff. I think it's also very innovative and it's very unique. Whenever I listen to Jome's music, I can't really compare it to too many other artists out there. How do you feel about genres, Jome? Do you like to put genres on your music, or are you kind of against that?
I'm not against genres, but like I like to combine genres. As it makes a more unique sound. Since sticking to a genre is kind of limiting for me. Like let's say future bass. I'd say that's okay itself, but I would mix something else, such as house or dubstep. You know how it is.
Right, man. Yeah, mix and match genres and be able to have more creative freedom. Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about making new music. How does a song start for you? Where do you get your ideas for new songs from?
I usually just lay down a piano melody, a chord progression. Actually, usually a good chord progression leads to a nice song since there's a good idea in there. Or just doing a random drum beat or listening to someone else's song. Any kind of inspiration comes as well, like from random items outside your home or whatever. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. That's what I was kind of curious about. I mean, it sounds like for you, you can go into the studio and just start making a song, but you can also get inspiration from other stuff. You said listen to other people's music. What are some other strange or unusual places that you do get inspiration from?
Well, I wouldn't say unusual, but it's good. Like I got inspired from Flume, Getter, Diplo, Chesto, Billie Eilish, and whatnot.
Oh, Billie Eilish
It
as well.
usually
Really?
it's usually random artists that I listen to. For what I know, it can be Ariana Grande as well, but who knows? It depends.
Awesome, man.
But
Awesome. I love
one of
that.
my favorite, yeah,
Yeah,
one of
go
my
ahead.
favorite, one of my favorites is Something New by Getter. It's good.
Getter's really great. Yeah. Absolutely. I know he's a big influence for you as well.
It's one of my inspirations to do some ambient intros and stuff such. So it's what I feel that I want to make to do. So yeah.
And I have a question about that as well. How do you take inspiration from people like Getter or Medicine and put it into your own music without like copying or imitating them? Absolutely.
It's just it's just taking the feel of the song, taking a part of the songs, a similar part of the song, recreate it into your own style. It's like listening to something to once and you try to recreate it in your mind, and you make something good out of it. Yeah.
Gotcha. So kind of like the mood or the feeling of the track, but putting it into your own terms. And let's dig into that more as far as your creative process. Whenever you're working on a song, like how often do you work on a song? How long does it take you to finish like a new single?
If it's a single, I would say it depends. Sometimes 20, sometimes 30. My song Dawn actually took 33 hours. I think I think it depends. Like I hope I won't reach, 80 hours. Yeah.
One friend of mine actually took like 150 hours on a song, so
Jesus, man,
I,
that's long.
yeah, dude. I mean, I guess there's no limit to how much time you can put into it. As far as like days, though, if we're talking about that, are you someone who like works on the song like every single day of the week, or you kind of like pull it up maybe 2 or 3 times a week to work on it?
I would usually work on it as 3 times a week or 1 to 2. It depends
And days off,
on
you
how
kind of
much.
like taking a break from it, or getting new ideas, or
Get either working on a new song or just taking a break by watching some Netflix.
love it,
Yeah,
man, love it. So essentially, then you're always creating.
for sure. Because if I don't train my mind, well, I might forget what I do. So
Love that, man. I
yeah,
love that. I think that's important as well. I mean, I'm similar since we're both, creative people. It's all about creating. It's all about, putting out more content, whether it's music or social media posts, or whatever it may be. It's all about creating. And something
for
I've been
sure.
thinking about lately is like thinking back to my early days of music production, and I wish I had done more. Like back then, I kind of had like confidence issues, or I was insecure, and so I didn't make as much music or I didn't release as much music. Now that I'm like a little bit older, I have more confidence in my sound, and I wish I had put out more music back then, because like, I don't know, like I feel like that's just how life is. You always wish you did more. You never wish you did less. So yeah,
Uh,
I love that. I love that. But like you said, it's all about creating, 24/7.
Sometimes I wish that I started making music at 10 years old. Like I would have more experience right now. Like that's how that's how I wish myself. Yeah.
Dude, 100%. Like it's always nice to look back and say, oh, I wish I had been younger. Or I wish I could be younger. Unfortunately,
Yeah, for
we
sure.
can't. So the important thing is to take where we are now, and do as much as we can, take as much action as we can. But yeah, it is interesting, to look back and think that. I guess a reminder for right now is that we should be doing as much as we can. We should be making as much music, releasing as much music videos, poems, whatever it is, as much as we can. How do you
For
maintain
sure.
motivation to work on songs? Do they get harder to work on as they progress?
Well, it usually gets harder, yes. Or if I have a lot of motivation and inspiration, well, I wouldn't even notice the time and I would have finished the song. Yeah.
Let's talk about the
Then
ones where it's difficult to finish up. Why does it get more difficult as the song progresses? Because it's more technical, or because you run out of ideas?
well, it's usually because I ran out of ideas because when a song is experimental, you want it to sound different or stand out as much. So you have to think ahead on what to do every time you make a song. So it gets harder as you put more ideas into it.
Right, dude, I get it. And speaking of running out of ideas, how do you deal with that? How do you handle that? Let's say you're working on a song, it's almost finished, but you don't know what to do next. Like, what do you do when you get to that place? How do you get the new idea or the motivation to finish it?
Usually, I would just put it in my folder of unfinished songs, and I would just come back to it once I have inspiration.
How interesting. So you're kind of just patient with it. You kind of go with it.
For sure, because I don't like scrapping songs because I remember deleting more than 50 project files, and I regret it so much because I instantly got an idea like a week or so after I deleted all of them. So yeah, instant regret.
That's amazing, dude. I mean, it's funny to me also because we live like in the modern age where we have like countless gigabytes. Like we don't have to delete anything. But yeah, it's a reminder
Yeah,
to us that we shouldn't give up on our projects. We should give ourselves time. I like that. I like that concept. Of putting it to the side and coming back to it later. How often do you go back to your old stuff and finish it up?
not much actually, since the quality of my old stuff is very low compared to what I make now. I don't really there isn't much to work on my old stuff. What I consider old that is good is when few months old, not 1 year or 2 years old. Yeah.
Sure, I gotcha. Let's talk about that for just a minute, about quality. You mentioned before that to you, quality is people enjoying it or it inspiring people. What other aspects make up a quality song to you?
Well, I would say a well mixed song or a well mastered song goes along with quality as well because you know it feels so much better to your ears. It's easier to listen to basically.
Right, dude. No, absolutely. I mean, as far as technical stuff goes, that's definitely a good way to measure quality as far as, how good the mix sounds on different speakers, how good the mastering is on different speakers, etc. And I am curious, how do you put quality into your music? How do you make sure that it inspires people? How do you make sure the mix is good? Like, how do you make sure your songs are like good quality to you?
Well, I would reference it with other songs and see if it's up, up to top with it. So if it's the same level of quality or whatever.
All right, I got you, man. And what are some of the artists that you compare it to, just for reference?
Well, I would compare it to Getter, Medicine, uh, just to name a few. I would also compare it to Underscore and or Amster. Some of the artists that I don't feel as famous as the others. Amzer, Gil Chang, etc.
Okay, gotcha. And so you kind of compare it to other artists who inspire you or might have a somewhat similar sound, I guess, as well, which obviously, is good to do. If you have a similar reference, it can help, get your quality up to notch and everything.
For sure.
Let's look at the EDM scene for a bit. Like, what's the coolest thing in EDM right now?
I'd say the new remixes for Billie Eilish's the Tiesto one and Porter Robinson's new music video. The remake of his music video. I think those were a very nostalgic song.
Sick, dude. Yeah, I love it. Let's talk about Billie Eilish for a minute then. She's really blown up lately, and I see a lot of people talking about her, and she's everywhere. It's great for her. What, in your opinion, what's like the appeal of Billie Eilish?
I would say her aesthetic because she appeals to the teenagers, more on teenagers rather than the adults. And as we all know, there are more teenagers than adults here in this world at the moment.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So it's mostly about the aesthetics and the age group. What do
Yeah.
you think about aesthetics for yourself? Is there any kind of aesthetics or mood that you try to push for your own artistic image?
Well, I usually start with the mood of feeling chill while still maintaining that heaviness feel.
Right. And as far as
Basically
visuals,
standing
but as
out.
far as like visuals and stuff like that, how about that?
Visuals, well, this the visuals don't usually relate with the song. It's just there.
Gotcha. Okay. Is that something you want to grow more in the future? Something you want to get into more?
Oh yes, for sure. I'm planning to rebrand actually. To actually make it into a theme. Because right now I don't have a theme at all, so it's just me putting out music.
Sure, man. Well, I mean, that's part of the process, right? Is becoming better at what we do and putting, better quality into what we do. So I'm super excited about the new aesthetics you're working on. Give us some hints or teasers. What kind of stuff can we look forward to?
Well, I have this thing, a work in progress. Yeah, and this other song. Just edit it out, Ben. You just put it in. So, the work in progress. Yeah.
All right, all right,
Just
all
put a
right.
teaser in the background.
Okay, will do. Everyone look out for the teaser because it's gonna be sick, whatever it is. What are some negative things about the EDM community?
Well, at the moment, I don't really know since I don't really usually watch EDM scene. I usually just browse music, watch random articles that I find on the internet. From what I see, there isn't really anything negative other than the getter scene.
What about social media? How do you feel about platforms like Facebook or Discord or Instagram?
Well, I'd say I prefer Discord over anything. Since it has more appealing look. It's more comfortable as well compared to Twitter and Instagram.
Awesome. For the listeners who are not familiar with what Discord is, kind of explain it a little bit to us.
Well, it's a gaming platform. Well, that that's what it was intended for. But right now it's full of communities for random people, such as music. You know, yeah, basically.
Exactly. Yeah, you can do chatting on it. You can message people, send pictures, send videos, send audio. Stuff back and forth. It's a lot like platforms like Facebook or Instagram, but a little more focused on like the chatting aspects. What makes Discord so I'm not sure how I should say, but what makes it so like convenient for music production?
Well, there are a lot of producers in Discord that I can easily just contact through Discord since they have their own servers. So I can just go in their servers, talk to them. Yeah, that's it.
And,
It's
and,
as
and
simple.
why is that important, by the way, to communicate with other music producers? What does it give you?
Well, it gives me more time to show it to them before I actually release it officially. I would show it to them and make sure to get my opinion before
Okay, so like sharing music and
proposing.
talking about music stuff.
Yeah, of course.
Right. So that's a kind of like a positive side to social media, is being able to connect with other creators and inspire each other, get inspiration, give feedback, stuff like
Agreed.
that. Yeah. What are some of the negative drawbacks to social media, like Discord or Instagram?
Well, I would say the backlash if you said something political or something offensive online, since a lot of people would come after you. Like from other people, they would say something offensive, and people would get triggered. Yeah, that's the only backlash that I see.
Gotcha. And has it happened to you before?
I don't think so, since I minimally post on social media platforms, anyways.
Right. But have you ever experienced like hate or people like negative criticism or stuff like that before online, Joe?
Oh yes, of course. It's usually not on social media platforms, but usually in games. So yeah.
Okay. All right. How do you manage that stuff? How do you handle it? I know everybody kind of has a different approach to it. How do you deal with it?
Usually I would just ignore them, or if it gets too far, I would talk to them, play with them, since it's funny. Their reactions are usually funny.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. And as far as like ignoring them, is that something that you had to practice, or is it something that's like natural for you to just like block it out?
Oh, I had to practice it since I have the habit of insulting them back.
Right. That's kind of why I asked, because I know it's very natural for humans, to, if they get criticized, to bite back, and cause conflict. So, but it's
Sure.
interesting to hear that you say that you practice it. Like, how did you practice it? How did you get better at ignoring that kind of criticism?
Well, usually I would just block them. That's it. Usually I would, if they're blocked, they're muted, and I can't see their chat log.
Dude, I mean, that's a great thing to do. Like, I love that we have the power to do that, right? Like, someone leaves like a bad comment, like you can just delete the comment on Instagram, Same on Discord, if someone's like, bothering you, can just report them. I think that more people should be doing that, rather than putting up with it or having to see it every day. It is
Agreed.
important, to like, take the control, because you have the control,
It's actually easy to just email Discord if you're getting bullied on Discord. They can easily get a warning or
Right, if it gets more serious, absolutely, yeah. But even on like a small scale, I think it's important for people to remember that they can control, what their community is like and what the environment's like, to take control of it. That is important.
Agreed.
Yeah. How do your interests like anime or gaming affect your creative energy?
Well, usually with anime, there's some anime inspirations on my music because I watch a lot of it, and I would add hints of anime in the background if some people just get it.
Gotcha. Okay. So it's kind of like it's something you can take inspiration from and put into your music, basically.
For sure.
Yep. Is it the same way for gaming, or is that more of just like a leisure activity?
Yeah, it's more of a leisure activity for me. It's like pastime whenever I'm. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
stress
usually not
relief,
for
stuff like that.
competitiveness.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, well, everybody has that kind of stuff, right? Like it's important to balance life.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
How do you balance life, by the way, Joe? As far as like handling school, handling music, gaming or Netflix. How do you keep it all in balance?
Well, I just have this mindset going on. All I have to do is do everything that I have to do within the day, as long as you know, I don't skip out within 12 a.m. Make sure I do everything before 12 a.m. So there's no specific schedule, since that would just make me unproductive.
How interesting. Schedules would make you unproductive. So you like to have a little bit more like a loose approach and kind of just do stuff as it feels natural.
Yeah, yeah. Like when you have to clean for the day, I can just do it first thing in the morning or do it at night. It depends. Or do it in the afternoon.
I love it, dude. I love it. I love that kind of free form approach. It's not so strict or scheduled or whatever. That's cool that it works for you. Kind of to wrap up the questions, I want to ask you, Joan, where are you right now, and what is next for you as a music producer, as an artist?
I would say I need to work on social media more, since it's not as good as the other people's social medias. I have to post more, etc.
Okay, so a
And
lot of marketing, and then what's next for you in the future?
well, what's next for the future? Well, I would hope for people actually notice my sounds all around the world, because it makes me happy the more validation I get on my music.
All right, man. Best of luck on the artistic journey. As I think you know already, we always do a speed round on the Creators Lounge. So I'll ask a quick question, give a quick response. Are you ready?
Okay.
All right, man. Let's go. What TV show or anime are you watching right now?
Lucifer and How to Get Away with Murder.
What is your favorite song at the moment?
Uh, Get Her Something New and Medicine Hope.
What's your favorite color?
Red.
What's your favorite food?
Muck Nuggets.
What is your favorite rest activity?
Rest activity?
Like a break activity, something you do for
Oh, I would like to lay down.
fun. What's your life motto or a quote that you really enjoy?
Do everything right, so no one can get to you.
What languages do you speak?
English, Tagalog, and a bit of Bisaya.
What countries do you want to visit?
Hong Kong, Japan, and America and Canada.
Last question. What is something you want to do that you have never done before?
Skydiving.
All right, Joam. That's it for the questions. I want to thank you so much, man, for coming on today. Is there any last words you have for the audience who's watching?
Y'all better follow me on SoundCloud.
Some shameless self-promo. Okay. Guys, you should take his advice, though. Follow him on SoundCloud, Twitter, Instagram, all the platforms he's on. He has some incredible music, and as long as he keeps taking action, you're going to see a whole lot more of this guy, because his sounds are extremely unique, and he brings something very flavorful and very cool to the EDM scene. So please, keep your eyes out for him, support him, and we will see you next time on the next episode. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.
See you guys.